Hello. How is everyone?
Howdy.
Welcome to Humpday
Doing
Q&A.
good.
Back again. How are you, Scott?
Again at last. I am doing well. Can you hear me?
Yes. I think there's a bit of delay. I think there's just a bit of a delay. We'll work with it.
All right. Yeah, I have been doing well. I've been playing with Gemini. It's amazing how easy it is. I did not the chat version, but the version where you just send one message and it sends one reply in isolation in 140 lines of code.
What was it? Million tokens? Is it million tokens it can sustain on top of the standard model? So that
I have no idea.
I think it was like you can have so much data just input on top of the model. It's ridiculous.
I asked someone one time what the context size was, and I do a bit, as some of you know, I do a bit with Llama 2 models locally on my own machine. And typically I'll run a 4096 or I'm sorry, yeah, 4,000, 8,000 context, somewhere in there. And that's so much. I mean, you can put half a program in some of that at times. Right. And so I asked someone from Google, I said, what's the context size with Gemini? And they said it was something around the neighborhood of 30,000.
Okay. I've got right here, the context size. Google invented today Gemini 1.5, which can handle up to 1 million tokens. There's 1 million tokens in the context.
What?
Yes. In contrast to OpenAI's GPT-4 Turbo mode, which only has support for 128,000. That just shows you how fast
I'm surprised the turbo mode has that much. Right. Because I can tell you, people running locally, if I'm running I can run a 32B.
Okay, let's do the instructions and we get the other guys on and we can have a
chat. All
right.
Yes.
All right. So it's the stage is all yours.
All right. Be decent to each other. Don't post anything that's adult, rude, otherwise against common sense. Don't advertise or promote that you need a job. I don't care. I need one too. Oh, wait, did that count? Don't spam the same question over and over and over and over and over again. Every time you repost it, it goes to the bottom of the list. I asked my question at the beginning of the show. How come it hasn't been answered yet? Well, because you keep asking it. That's why. Harassment of any kind is not tolerated. Come on, incels, bigots, junk like that. Get out of here before we find you out, and we will make sure all your logins everywhere get deactivated because all the people who run everything else like Discord and Slack happen to be our drinking buddies. So, speaking of drinking buddies, have a good time.
Definitely have a good time, and let's bring some of our buddies on. Let's do some brief instructions. My name is Simon Eifert, Flutter Community Lead and CTO here at Dev Angels London. Scott.
My name is Scott Stahl. I am also a community lead in Flutter. My goodness, it's been 6 years now, Simon? A little more?
A long time.
Yeah. I'm starting to feel old, as if losing my hair didn't do that already. I am, as I said, community lead, organizer GDG Cleveland. I write code under Good Dog Apps and am known to frequent certain people's stairs. Randall now has stairs, so I can go hide under his.
Talk about Randall. Here's Randall. Welcome, Randall, to the stage.
Hey, I'm back again, just like I am trying to be every week. I'm Randall Schwartz. I'm a Dart and Flutter Google developer expert, one of 10 in the United States, so I feel pretty privileged with that. And also, I am participating in my local Portland, Oregon GDG coming up. I'm giving a Flutter talk for next month's meeting, so that'll be fun. For this show, I am the question magician, which means I am watching the chat, looking for you to put Q : in front of your questions. I will flag those, and then we'll take turns answering those. And that's how it gets done on here. I also answer a lot of questions on Stack Overflow, Reddit, Discord, and Slack. So I spend a lot of time answering questions directly anyway. You've probably seen me in one of those places if you're on this show as well.
Thanks. Oh my. Speaking of people we need on the show, Mark Texan.
Yes,
Mr. That's a good question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And talking about other guests, Danielle. Oh, you're getting covered up, Danielle.
Yeah, that's all right. Hey, there we go. Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Danielle Cox. I am the one of the organizers of the Flutteristas, which is a group that is for Flutter enthusiasts who happen to be either female or non-binary. And if you qualify that and don't know about us, hit me up. Anywhere around. I'm on social media quite a bit. And yeah, I'd love to have you be involved. We have meetings once or twice a month. Some are just us. Sometimes we have someone come talk to us, and it's really good. I'm also the lead of a team that's does the front end work for a company called Dart, and that's actually in Flutter Web, even though it's an app. It's in Flutter Web, and we actually just released a whole new product yesterday. It's white labeled, so it's not something I can really show to everybody, but we released a new one.
Congratulations, anyway.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. No, it's a huge deadline, and the Flutter part of it's only part of it. So it's a great win for the company overall. So yeah, so that's me.
And welcome. And we also have a John. John, welcome to the stage, John.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, happy to be here. So I do Flutter in my spare time. Not my day job, unfortunately. At least not most of the time. But I hang out in Discord answering questions for folks and manage the Flutter community Medium. So if you have stories you'd like us to post through the Medium for Flutter community, go ahead and submit them, and we'll see what we have and try and get those out fairly quickly. Keep a steady stream going.
Great. Right. Wait.
I'm going to help declutter the screen. So just to make sure there's only 4 people on the screen. So I'm still here, just behind the scenes.
And then there was one less. What was I going to say? Yeah, we could talk about Gemini, right? And
actually, before we dig into that, something just came up. This will only take a moment, and that's why I want to knock it out and get it out of the way, and then we can spend like the rest of the year on Gemini. And that is, let me share the screen here. Like I said, this just jumped in my face. Flutter and Friends tickets are now available.
Yep.
So,
and how about
a 16-hour 2-for-1 sale.
Yeah. Was the CFP was open as well, isn't it? I think at the same time.
That I need to check with the guys, because last time I talked to them about this, they were still trying to figure out what they were going to do. So apparently
the first one's always more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought I did see an announcement about CFP.
Yeah.
So where is Flutter and Friends? Stockholm, Matt. Stockholm.
Yeah, come to Europe, Matt. Come to Europe.
Awesome. Very practical people. They know how to party. More bicycles and scooters than cars. Rental electric scooters everywhere. You do not need to rent a car in Stockholm. You just walk to any corner, stick your phone app on the scooter, and drive away.
Whoa, I know he was just on the screen, but did you see what Randall just wrote?
Yep.
That's that's news, people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Nice.
So that'd be really nice, actually. We'll get Randall a layover in London on the way. That's the
there we go. And if you're flying from the US, though, actually, you might want to do that layover in Gatwick. Number one, because it's easier to get to Simon's house than it is from Heathrow. Also, though, because then you can fly Norse. And Norse Air is flynorse.com. $425 each way for their version of first class.
It's pretty good.
Really nice.
All
right. Now, Gemini.
Yes. So what was
Mark,
it?
you didn't get the company to pay for it. What do you... Let's get you hooked up as a speaker, buddy.
So that's what was it? Yeah, Gemini. So I haven't given it a go yet, but I have been seeing the news. And when I saw that million tokens, I was like, "Do what?" I think that the plan behind, for me, if I was Google, the plan behind that would probably be make the limit stupidly high as possible, absorb the costs, right? And then see what users bring and what they can then from that go, oh, most users only use 10,000 tokens or 50 tokens or whatever it might be. And that becomes like a de facto package that they can then offer and say up to this amount is this price. And then everything from this amount to this price is something else. So they can gauge product interest, set it really high to bring the broadest possible user base in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds kind of...
Matt, that link is for you.
Yeah, so I think there's the possibilities with that many tokens is huge. I mean, you know,
you can literally put your entire app in the context.
Wow, I won't go that far.
How many words? I mean, you know, it depends on the size of the app, but a pretty fair number of apps will fit into 1 million tokens. Now, the bigger problem is putting it all in one file, which is something that drives Simon crazy as it is.
So I've had practice with this already. I've been playing with the 1 million token model, and
putting everything in one file?
No, you can upload a folder. It will do folder. So I point folder at my top level of my app. It sucks in the entire hierarchy. And then I can ask questions about the code base and even get code updates. I don't quite know yet how to round trip that if I get this code changed according to the way it just told me to do it, how to then say, well, refresh that file over here. I don't know how to do that quite yet. And maybe it's already automatic. It's got it in its own context. So, but no, it is amazingly remarkable. I am just enjoying
How's
every
the accuracy though on Flutter code?
Been pretty decent all the way around. It's been giving me drop-in instructions that just plop right in. The code works.
I mean,
great.
I've been doing pretty basic stuff with it, you know, because like I said, I did my Gemini thing in 140 lines. I had it set up a couple tiny things there just because I was feeling lazy, and also I wanted to test it.
The 1 million token version is not available on the API yet. It's only available through the test kitchen. So, and you have to be on a wait list for that. I slid through as a GE, got it pretty early on. So this is all just interacting with it just from a web interface. And a few of the things like the temperature is frozen at 2, so I don't get to choose that. But it seems somewhat slow in the sense that I give it an instruction and it takes 30 to 45 seconds. So it's slower than the Gemini Pro model, the 1.0 model. For the results I'm getting, it's pretty freaking amazing. Like I'm finalizing a code review for one of my clients, and just for grins, I threw that code base at Gemini 1.5 and said, here's the criterion. Give me a code review report based on this, including recommendations. And it wrote almost about the same level as what I wrote in my report. It was pretty amazing.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to using it more and more. And we're just in a really strange world now that this is going to keep going forward like this.
Now I have caught it in some outright fallacies. I'm trying to remember what the one was. I'll remember it in a bit, but oh, that's what it was. I asked, because I'm working on my pilot's license for flying. So I asked it as a test what airspace a certain airport is in, and it got it wrong.
Oh,
and I asked it to double check because it said that it could access the internet. Well, then it turned around and said, no, I can't access the internet. And it insisted that its wrong answer was correct. So it's still learning.
If you're talking about through the API,
Yes.
Gemini Pro API, that does not have access to the internet. It never has been advertised as that.
Okay. Well, it says that it does, but it's hallucinating.
It hallucinates that too. Hey, I can look at the internet.
For those who don't know that term, hallucinating, we're not joking. It's the actual scientific term for when an AI basically insists it's right, but it's wrong.
Yeah.
They call that a hallucination.
And it's why these are going to continue to be wonderful assistants. But I think we're still going to have humans in the loop for quite a while. Unfortunately, what I see happening instead is this is going to be put in more and more positions of authority, and without verifying that it hasn't run off the rails or that it's just
I think anybody who knows anything about it knows it needs training wheels.
Right.
I think it's
going to
forever need training wheels.
Right. But that's the problem. Those people are the ones that get to make the decision, and this is always the problem.
They just want
before
they want
we
a
fall
customer
any further
service
down this rabbit hole.
Okay.
Oh shoot! Why didn't that do that? John, I'm trying to copy the link you provided. There we go. John provided a link for the call for papers. That is for Flutter and Friends. So if you have a talk you want to submit, use that Airtable link. And thank you, John.
Yep.
For providing that. Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to spend as little time. I mean, Flutter and Friends is important. I wanted to make sure the word got out there, but this show really should be about Gemini. So,
well, I don't know about Gemini, the show, but yeah, just to be, get your questions in. Get your questions in, people.
Yes,
get your dark questions in now.
But like Smash pointed out, it's not really available in Europe yet.
What did I see about that?
Private VPN.
I've seen stuff with VPNs, but still. But yeah, that was no. Of course, there may be ways around that. But my point is the fact that officially at least, it's not available yet, and that's kind of sad. I understand it, but it's kind of sad.
Oops. Right.
Mark's pointing out that the average person does not understand that AI is not magic.
Yeah.
What was that quote? Like, any sufficiently advanced technology
exactly,
can appear like magic, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking, a 20-year-old me would have thought it was magic, for sure.
I think even developers getting their heads around AI is difficult enough, and I can't imagine like non-tech savvy people getting their heads around it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Randall and I see it in Discord, like every day, right? Somebody comes in asking a question, this code isn't working. What's wrong with it? And, when you get to the bottom of it, you find out that they asked ChatGPT or they asked, one of the Bard or whoever how to do something, and it gave them code, and they just blindly copied and pasted because they really don't know what they're doing and it didn't read through the code to see if it would work or what it was doing. And it's that, kind of assumption that whatever it tells you is right.
I think the point there is that they got to learn somewhere, but equally they should be taking that and going, why is it telling me this error? Go and look that error up and actually like investigate and do that kind of it. And I think some people are just so lazy to help. It's always like, let me Google that for you kind of scenario, right? Like, don't ask me, ask Google first, right? And then,
Yeah, I liken it to like GPSs, right? I have family members who, punch in an address and the GPS tells them to go here, and they just blindly follow the directions it gives them, and then they don't end up where they want it to go because they don't realize how GPSs work. And if it can't find the exact address, it goes to the next closest thing it can find, which might be the middle of whatever town it found. And, it's just blindly following it without really even looking at the map and saying, oh, well, that's not exactly where it's supposed to be.
I'm teaching a boot camp on Flutter at my alma mater, and one of the people went and got code for logging into Firebase. And I mean, it either was AI generated or it came from an older kind of example, because it did the massively confusing, dot then, on air kind of stuff for the future, as opposed to, doing it in a try catch and just linearly doing, awaits with it, which are, in my mind, just a lot more readable. And it's a more modern way to do it, I think. And so that was interesting, because like I said, I don't know if however he did it, his code basically worked. We just had to rewrite it to have a good style. But
sorry, something went past me, and it might have gone past somebody else. What were you talking about? The difference between try catch and await?
Oh, if you do a dot then, if you have a future and you do dot then, and is it on air or catch error or whatever it is? If you do it, you can do it that way, or you can wrap it in a try catch. And I mean, by the way, there is a slight difference in how it works, but in this case, it was fine. But you can do a try catch with the weights, and then all of your code is just very linear, and you can just follow through what's happening, step 1, step 2, step 3.
So they were using an await then setup, which is harder to read.
I thought it was.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Very cool.
I'll quickly do examples.
This one right here, while Simon's looking up that example, we were talking about AI being magic. This one right here has a master's degree in statistics. Believe me, I got a behind the scenes on how predictive models work. It isn't magic. It's painful up here when you try to wrap your head around the differential calculus and the, what was it again? Matrix algebra.
So let's bring this up. So I was just putting together a quick example here. I guess I can do syntax Dart. So you might have some function that returns. Let's get rid of that. Why is that on the screen? Hang on. There you go. Yes, you might have a future that returns a string or something like called something. You might have your function, whatever it is, call something, then do a then with that value that you're getting back. So this would be the result, right? And then you could then say, I don't know, print value, right? It's a bit jank, but you know what I mean? Like this kind of thing, right? That's one way of approaching the main function. But then if there's an error, well, then you need to catch error. And then you have to have your error stack trace, right? And then now you've got to maybe do whatever you want to do with that, right? Let's just do this. This is what I get for coding live. And so that's one way of approaching that, right? It just doesn't really look good. It can format in various different ways. Another way of achieving the same thing is to do try. You can do print await something, right? Thereby doing that what's inside the then. And then you can do catch then. Right, these are completely the same syntactically, right? And there you go. The difference is that this would be classed as async, right?
Right.
So it's just two sort of syntaxes to achieve the same thing. When you're doing this, there's various reasons why you might want to do one or the other, but this normally reads a lot better than a lot of training functions, especially as you get to multiple lines in here, and then you're going to get a weird indent. You're going to get like a double indent. You're going to deal with a bunch of stuff, but they're functionally the same. There's no difference.
Of course, on error is now recommended rather than catch error. Catch error is the old interface.
Sure,
on error has the typed interface. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of ways, but whatever. There's also, I think, is that are you talking about the one that goes like this on error like that? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's same difference. It's even worse. Like you look at that, it's the same difference, right? Like.
It's still ugly syntax,
where this is very much like, oh, this is an async function. You're ahead of time, it's going to do something async. You're going to try. During that try catch, you're waiting for something. So if this throws, it's going to be caught here. Some people do this. Let me just show you a mistake that I see people do. Actually, this is an interesting one. So let's say this is some other function. We'll call it other, and this is a future of string, right? And we want to. What is wrong? I want people to discuss what is wrong with this code.
Let me see here.
The second
Okay,
example.
If I make my screen too big, I get blown out by all the white light. So let me see here.
So we're looking at other. What is wrong with that function? There's an obvious problem with that function. Okay, do you want me to give you a hint?
Go for it.
I know.
Randall wants to answer.
Yeah.
The problem is you'll end up returning and you're already out of the scope of the try catch before
Correct.
the future completes. So it could
Exactly.
throw back in your original
Right.
catch instead
So-
of down here. Yeah.
So the problem is it's the same as this, right? You're saying basically I want a function that's going to return a value. The function itself is not actually async. It's not awaiting for this result, which means it will return the future that this function returns. And this catch never occurred because it didn't occur inside this bit here, right? Now, that's why it's very critical to put an await in there. So you have this, so you have an await. Now, it's very often that I see some functions that pass on like this flow, and they will do a return. And another problem, and I could run this and give you a stack trace.
Well,
But
I was going to say, you've got another problem on other because if an error happens, you don't return anything. And you're not rethrowing the exception.
All right, fine. And there you go. Rethrow. There you go. Magic.
Matt wins the cookie.
Yeah, nothing is
We'll get you a cookie.
So there's another issue that can come up, which is all too error prone that I see quite a lot, is that you still could do, let's say there wasn't a try catch involved here, right? And there's some other stuff going on here, whatever it might be. And a lot of people can do this, right? Which is they're doing something and then they're returning the future. The problem here is if an error occurs during something, guess what's not in the stack trace anymore? The other function, because you finished the function. It returned the variable.
Teacher.
Yeah.
Teacher.
Yeah.
If something returns a future, you're going to get a linter error or an analysis error.
No.
This is just fine.
No, that's right. Sorry.
That's really good code.
I need more coffee. I was thinking
even
that your function was type string. It's not.
Even if this is marked as async, it's the same thing. The function may be async, but it will return the future immediately. So you need to be awaiting it inside the function.
Yeah,
So that if any errors occur, the other function ends up in the stack trace. Otherwise, you get these weird stack traces where there's what you call an asynchronous gap, which is basically this code happened and something happened in between and this other code happened. It's like you have no knowledge about what the steps were.
But if you
And
don't
also
await
known
it,
as a
doesn't the
race
linter tell
condition.
you that?
John?
Sorry, John. Go on.
No, if you don't await it, you are going to get a linter, aren't you? That you aren't awaiting a future.
If you turn on that link chat,
Yeah.
by default, that's not a recommended link chat to do.
Yeah.
Really?
I
I
think
thought
it's not
it
in the
was.
Flutter recommended. No.
There's all the time.
There's actually-
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. You're right, because it's the link check that we have currently is passing context across an async gap.
Correct.
Yeah,
you can't do
well,
that.
there is a link check for it. It's in there. In fact, let's go find it. But what I'm trying to say is it's not on by the default in the linter rules. There's various
Right.
linter.
Is this the one that needs to be turned on?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, for example, in my app,
Unawaited futures.
turned out-
That's not strictly. There is that one as well, and there's also. Well, there's a couple. Let's have a quick look. Let's go open it up.
all right, well, Simon's looking
Julian,
at that.
you started something here.
Go on. What are you saying?
Now we're going to be going on with this for about 10 minutes.
So it is definitely. Let's go look for future. Avoid returning null for future. Removed. Discarded futures. Don't invoke asynchronous functions on non-asynchronous blocks. That's fine. Yeah, await only futures. That's another good one. That depending, but that's a good one. Yeah, unawaited futures. They moved unawaited. Do you remember us using unawaited? What was the package called? Unawaited in. It was the. Oh, damn, what's going on? They moved inside of the Flutter, inside of the Dart repository, but used to be an external one. Whatever. Anyway. Is this the one? That's good. It's going to really bug me that I can't remember what package that was now. What was the package that we used for linting before lint?
Who says pedantic?
Pedantic. That was it. The pedantic.
Pedantic and extra
Yeah.
pedantic.
And then you had extra pedantic. Yeah, the pedantic package was the one that had unawaited in it, and they moved it in, which is good because it needed to. Yeah, so here you go. Likely a bug. You've got an asynchronous function. This is an asynchronous function as well. You didn't await it, so you should await it, or you should mark it as unawaited to say I don't care about the result. So that's definitely one. And you can see here, it's not in the recommended or the Flutter one, right? But in my eyes, it's definitely right. Yeah, this is the one people turn on, and this is the one that I think is. So again, let me just express this. Lint checks are just that. They're lints. You can have two lints that literally are complete opposites. So I just wanted to explain that. You can get that. So you can't just go turn on all lint checks and go, oh, it's going to work, because you'll be turning on and off one and off other. You'll be like, what was that, whack-a-mole, right? It's kind of thing. Right?
There are, I think, at least 6. I think there are 12 lint checks that create 6 contradictory scenarios last time I checked. And last time I checked was like 3.5 years ago. So imagine how out of control it can be now.
So here's a scenario, and this is what we just spoke about. This is a scenario of the opposite of what I just said. So this is saying that it's bad, right? So in one essence, when you look at this, you've got an await, you've got async, you're passing it across. So you might as well just return future, which is what it's suggesting here. The problem with this is, and the return here is another example of that. The problem here is F1 no longer appears in your stack trace. So if it is important, maybe it's an abstract interface, you've got multiple implementations of it. That's gonna throw you for a loop, and it does. I've been there. So I definitely recommend this, or if there's a reason for you not to, for you to do this is fine, right? But definitely await your futures. To be honest, if you've got a line like this, or you've got something that's directly returning, you probably shouldn't have it in there in the first place. But yeah.
By the way, for anybody watching on TV like I do often, Randall's pointing out he likes very good analysis for new projects.
Yeah. There's a few great packages out there for that. I feel like I might do one of my own, because there's a certain set of these that I always use. But yeah, it's not necessarily the Dart Flutter recommended ones, but you each to their own. I think there is another one for
anything from Very Good Ventures is always solid.
Oh, this one's been removed.
Oh, look, solid.
Right. Anyway, let's.
I was going to say one thing I wanted to say about this, which I like what you showed me because I've learned something now, is I often, like, for example, analytics events, they're UDP to me. I mean, I don't care if they get there or not. So I fire one off. There's no way I'm waiting for it. And so I was going to use that as an example of not wanting to wait for a future. I didn't know unawaited existed.
Oh, there you go. That's the perfect example of that, because you don't want to stall your main pipe of your main processing flow with something that's a tertiary event, right? So,
Yep.
There's always like a lot of fire and forget things that you want to do. It may be a good example of this. Let's say we're talking about analytical events. You got your app is progressing. The person's pressing on buttons. Each button press is making an analytical event, and it just keeps firing them off, and you make them unawaited, right? You don't care about the response during the button press. However, all those things go into a queue, and when you dispose of your main app, you may want to flush that queue, maybe want to await that flush to make sure they're all being sent to the server before your app quits, or you save them to disk before your app quits, so that you can come back later and send them. Like, these are the kind of things that differentiation.
Quick side point here. We've got a couple pretty good questions that are being asked without a queue in front. The reason that we ask for a queue to be in front of the questions is what you're doing is you're flagging it for the people on screen. There are other discussions happening in the chat where people are answering each other's questions a lot of times, which means we're going to ignore the question if it doesn't have a queue because we think it's for someone else in chat. Okay? We're not trying to be annoying by asking for a queue. We're saying that the question is for us instead of somebody else you're talking to.
I see Mike's hanging out. I was going to bring up his sheet that he mentioned. So maybe we want to, I don't know. I'll see if I can find it.
Go right ahead. Or we could just drag Mike onto the screen.
We could.
Mike, if I shoot you a link.
He's like, no. Right. Let's see what.
Don't try to post a link.
I got it.
Yeah, keep cracking on. But yeah, Mike, don't try to post a link. It'll eat your message and we'll never see it.
Shall we crack on with some questions? I think we've stalled long enough.
Sure. I'm shooting Mike a link right now.
Okay.
All right. And I posted the link to his page in the private if you want to share that.
Okay. So Christine asks, I'm currently facing app crashes when I make multiple swipes on a page view. The page view contains photos and videos that are cached. I dispose the video controllers. It's in a stateful widget. Well, I'm going to assume. I mean, first of all, log when you're disposing of like these videos, right, and photos to make sure they are actually getting disposed, right. I know it sounds silly, but it's always worth doing that to make sure that when you swipe, it's actually happening, because there is an infinite amount of memory. If your page view widgets are marked as keep alive, well, they're going to be kept alive, right? So including any of the resources not going to get disposed of, right? You're not going to get that disposed getting called in your state. So Christine also sent me a stack trace, a log of the outer memory issue, and all I'm seeing is like GC blocks and audio track setup for audio track stuff. So I do wonder what package you're using for video here, or if that's a thing, maybe you're just basically running out of memory on the device. If this is a low
keep
end.
alive. Christine says they're not keep alive.
Okay. Well, I say if this is like a low end device, you can only maybe have 2-3 videos possibly running at a time. You also want to control the cache. What's it called? The cache extent on the page view. Make sure that's set realistically.
Another question I have, Christine, is you say multiple swipes on the page view. If you do it slowly, like 10 seconds between, does it still crash? Or is it only if you do it quickly? Because I'm wondering if you have something loading in the second page, and when you swipe away to the third, if something has not finished on the second.
I think you've just nailed it on the head there with that. You just reminded me of some problems that can occur when programming these kind of things, right? So I think it's slightly different. The initialization is happening on. It's immediate heavy.
Okay, stop typing. There we go.
Right. What you just opened up like 3 different things. I have no idea what you were pointing at. Sorry.
Quickly. She's swiping quickly.
Oh,
like
sorry.
Boom, boom.
Right. But this is actually I think I know exactly what the cause is here. So let me express. I'm trying to express in simple terms what might be happening here. So during a init state, you initialize your video controller. After it's been initialized, maybe you set a flag saying video initialized, right? And then you do a set state that updates the page with the video player. And then in dispose, you go, oh, it is initialized, then dispose. If you swipe quick enough, then what might be happening is that the state has been disconnected from the widget before it finished initializing. And this way, what happens is at the very end, it doesn't get disposed because you're disposed. It's not initialized. It doesn't dispose of it. So what you actually need to do is, because they're asynchronous, what you need to do is after you've got the callback saying that the video controller is initialized, you should be checking to see if the widget's mounted. If it's not mounted, de-initializing and freeing the video controller. Otherwise, it's going to be there forever. And that would be what we call a memory leak. Or it won't be there forever. It'll be there. I'm not sure if video controllers are linked up to the finalizer. I don't think they are. They could be there for the native resources might be allocated for the lifetime of the application then. if video controller, you can go look. If video, I don't remember, but if video controller is implements a finalizer, then it will free its own resources once Dart frees itself. But again, you still got to wait for GC. So, can you give me a written example of the deinitialization? Yeah. Maybe. Does the video package actually give a? That's a good question, actually.
I didn't see anything when I was playing around with Chewy.
I was gonna say, which package was this? Was this Chewy or video
That's
player
true.
or what?
Chewy
Which package
video
was this,
player.
Christina? Tell us.
And this is awesome, folks. If you watch the way this is happening, Christine is giving us live feedback in order to help guide the conversation as we go. Way too many times somebody will ask a question, we'll need to ask clarifying questions, and they never get back to us.
Okay, video player package. All right, perfect. So I'm going to literally copy and paste the example, which is wrong, essentially for the same problem, off of the web page, and then we'll give that a little sort of look at in terms of how it looks. So hang on, let's get there. So this let's get hands on. Stop. Bear with.
Trying to stop the Batman thing here.
Okay. So this is the exact example of the video player package README, right? Which is perfectly reasonable for a video app to be able to do this, right? But if you put this video app widget in a page view and you swipe really quickly, what's going to happen is, look what happens. This then.
Mm-hmm. There's a then.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter. Even if you say it's async away, whatever. But the point here is it gets to this point, and what happens if the widget has been disconnected?
Unmounted.
It's not mounted anymore. Yeah.
It's trying to set state on a widget that's not mounted.
Well, it's not even that. It's not even that. It's the fact that here.
Oh, come on, Simon. Let us have one.
What's going to happen here is the initialization might not have finished. So when the dispose takes place, it wasn't initialized, so it didn't free anything. So what you basically need to do in here is say if mount. All you're saying is if mounted, right? Then you want to maybe update your UI or do something. And if it's not mounted anymore, I don't know why it's doing that, but anyway.
Dart format fixes all ills.
Yeah, well, this is not. I'm in a text editor, so good luck with that. Anyway, and then in the else condition, then we can say, I'm guessing, and what does initializer actually return back? Would anyone know? I'm going to go look it up. API reference as well. Controller. It's controller initialize, right? It's a future void. Okay. So in this case, what you would actually just simply do is do your controller dispose in here, right? I think I'd say that's about it, really. Let's take a quick look. I mean, that's it. It's just that if mounted, do whatever you need to, otherwise dispose. That would definitely make sure that if this controller was finished initializing after the state was disconnected, that it would still disposes, because this dispose method wouldn't be called after the fact, right? If that makes sense.
Now, calling dispose on something on the controller, you're only calling it on the controller, not on anything else that's not mounted. So it should be okay then. Fine.
Yeah. Let's just take a quick. Let me just hopefully that helps. Let's take a quick gander at the source code. Actually, let's just go one step further, and we'll crack on with some more questions here.
Christian's asking if it's okay that if dispose is called multiple times.
That's literally what I was just getting to. So
Yeah.
Not dispose on your state, but dispose on the controller probably. So it depends on how the controller's been made, and this kind of gets down to the nitty gritty of the particulars. There's going to be another package in here, isn't there? Where's controller? It's going to be a platform interface probably. Let's have a look. Is it video player controller? Oh no, here it is. So it's a value notifier at which, do you know what? I don't even know. I don't remember if the value notifier does it. Yeah, is disposed, it just returns. So it's perfectly safe to call it multiple times. Oh, look. It looks like It looks like they actually handled this situation already. They did fix it. Oh, well, look. Creating completer, if it's still there and it's not disposed, now it waits for it. So now it's disposed and cancels the time and cleans things up. So maybe that's not a problem. Try it anyway. Maybe this is in the most recent version. Maybe you should update the version. I don't know. But yeah, no, this is the same. I've just experienced this problem before, but it looks like they've patched it. So maybe in the latest version it should be okay. Try it anyway. Can't harm. As I said, you can call it multiple times. The thing is, again, if you go back to like video is really, really people take video for granted, right? It's super duper. Like an app like TikTok, when having scrolling past videos or YouTube shorts, that's really hard to make. People don't realize how difficult it is to make. The fact that every platform is different and video is just a very hard problem. It's not only just you're pushing a lot of data, you're decoding a lot of data, through those codecs. You're really pushing the boundaries. People just take it for granted nowadays. Anyway, right. I mean, give it a try. Hopefully, it helps.
Okay, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go. I've got a 10-minute warning. I have to go get a suit fitted for the wedding. So,
aren't you lucky?
Oh joy!
Have fun.
So I'm not, but it's a 10-minute warning. It's a 10-minute warning.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm out in 10 minutes as well. Yep.
I might have a couple more minutes than that, but we'll see. It might turn back into normal.
Let's get with some more questions then. All right. So what's the next one? Gerbs.
On Flutter web apps installed on my phone. Ooh. Sometimes I have access to the camera and sometimes not. Any idea why? Usually it won't work after the first kill of the app. I'm using a mobile scanner.
I'm using mobile.
My first question
scanner.
immediately is this just a web app in a page, or are you trying to build the whole page with Flutter?
I tell you why.
Does that even matter?
I tell you what I think the problem is. It's probably just been like it's only given the permissions for the camera for the session that you're in. So when it starts up again, it doesn't get the permission again, something like that. But you're using this mobile scanner package. I've never used it before. And I'll be honest with you, just go use the camera package and do it yourself. Go look at our mobile scanner, how it makes. I'm assuming you're scanning QR codes or something. Yeah, there's a QR package that reads from an image. You've got the camera package that gives you an image. Connect the dots. No, there shouldn't be a problem, put it that way. What you could do, Gerbs, is go use the camera. Maybe not go that far, but you go put the camera package in there and see if it does the same thing. If camera continues to work with just the camera package, then you know it's a specific problem with the mobile scanner package, and you go to start investigating. What you can do if you want to debug this yourself, it's quite difficult. You're working in an environment that's on an installed version of a mobile, which is very difficult to debug, and then you're working on a mobile. You're working on the Flutter web stuff, which is also again translated from Dart to JavaScript, which again that's a level of sort of a level of difficulty in terms of debugging. You can connect. Have you been doing this, Daniel? You can connect the remote Chrome. What's it called? The remote Chrome debugger. Have you done that?
I have not done that. No. I'll be honest. I end up. I do all of my debugging in macOS.
Which is fine when it's like that, but obviously with this would be a specific device thing. You've got
exactly.
So there's a Chrome. I think it's called Chrome remote debugging. Yes, remote. It's specific. Let me bring this up on stream here. Hopefully, hang on.
Well, and he says it works everywhere, but on his mobile phone.
Again, the same problem. It doesn't matter. You say.
But it's Flutter web, so they're connecting to a website on their phone that has Flutter to do the camera capture.
Yeah, but then that's going to go to the. Anyway, the point here is you need to debug it, right? Find out what's going wrong. The problem here is you're trying to kill the app and restart the app, which makes it really difficult to debug that scenario. So, in terms of debugging, if you can put a you're going to have to go look at the Chrome debug tools. So what you're trying to debug now is a web problem, not a Flutter problem. The Flutter debug tools won't help you. The Android debugging tools won't help you at all. Full stop. Will not help, right? So what you're looking for is this. It's remote debug Android devices. Let me hide the question. Remote debug Android devices, and basically this means that you can it walks you through here what you have to install, how you configure it. But basically, you do all this stuff, and then you plug your device in USB, and then it will pop up, and then you get to pardon me, connect to your Pixel 6 using Chrome on your desktop, Mac or Windows or whatever. And then once that's connected, you actually get the Chrome Dev Tools, and you can actually see the device web page. You can look at all the stuff you normally do on device web page, but remotely. So you'll be able to see what's happening within inside your app, even hit breakpoints on the JavaScript after you kill the app and restart it, right? Now, I know you can do this on the native Android apps and Flutter apps, and that is you can make the Dart Dev package, for instance, has a enable debugging or debugger thing, and the Android stuff, the Android stuff has a debug feature as well, which will break for the debugger. It means it will literally pause the app until the debugger is connected. And if you can do that with your JavaScript, you can go look that up with Chrome DevTools. Then after the app is killed, it will wait at the very beginning of the entry point for your application until you get the DevTools connected. And then when you debug from that point on, you can step through and work it without having to randomly say it broke and then no understanding of why. But this is I'll put this link in the chat, but this is the tooling that you're kind of looking for to debug your situation. All right, what was the extended point here? Sorry.
Check that you're on version 3.5.5 or higher of the
there you go. The library had an error on older Android versions. There you go. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah. That's an awesome thing to see, though, Simon. I'm sure I will have use of debugging stuff for that.
So as soon as you get into any heavy sort of problem, especially when they're like, I do it all the time for any sort of web debugging, especially when it's on device. That's super important because it means that you get. It's also another one. You can also do this. Works with all web views. So here's another one for the audience. If you have an Android device, you have a web view inside your normal Flutter app, you can actually remote debug that web view inside your Flutter app as well. And so you can understand, is your interaction of JavaScript, maybe your JavaScript interface with the web view working correctly? All that kind of, you can literally hit breakpoints and step through it all. You can do all that stuff. So, yeah.
And by the way, I do believe it was you that gave me the tip to go ahead and debug on Mac, or to run on Mac OS when I'm developing.
How's that helped?
Well, you've got stateful hot refresh instead of reload. That's a big one when you're behind a login page. That's huge. So it helps a lot. But the other thing I was going to say, if you're debugging a web app on an actual physical device, and you want to actually be able to debug it Flutter-wise, though, you can use something like ngrok to be able to have an actual URL that you can go to on your mobile device and run it in your debugger. Because I know that's a trick that a lot of people have, or not a trick. I mean, it's a trick. It's a problem a lot of people have, and that's a trick to get around it.
There's also one of the common solutions to this before this Chrome remote debugging existed for similar problems. This can work in a variety of different ways, and it can even work with your actual Android apps, and that is set up a proxy. So there's Proxyman, there's Charles Proxy, there's a bunch of proxy software that you run on your developer machine. It sets up a little proxy server. You then go into the Wi-Fi configuration on your mobile device. You set up your IP address of your development machine as the proxy, and all the connections your app makes will go through that proxy server. So it'll connect back to your PC, then connect back out to whatever services and providers that you want, and then send the connection back down to the mobile device. And this way you can monitor all the traffic going in and out of your actual application, which is really helpful for things like native stuff that's making connections or things that are outside your area of control. If you're just trying to debug Flutter, that is images, all your network code inside Flutter, it's already built into the dev tools. There's a network tab. It gives you all the information you can ever possibly want about networking. So go there first. It's point and click. It's super simple and easy. Talking about that, Danielle, you did mention there about something that came with the new version of Flutter and Gemini and all that kind of stuff came out was it Thursday? Friday? I don't remember.
Wednesday,
and what also came out was the new roadmap.
Oh, nice.
So you haven't seen this?
I have not seen this.
Let's see if we can go through this together then. Hang on, let's make this a bit bigger.
Okay, so much for us leaving.
Anyway, so this is really interesting. So they caveat at the very beginning of the roadmap with this roadmap is aspirational. It represents some of what the most active contributors to Flutter and Dart have told us that they're planning on to work on this year. It's very difficult to make guarantees about engineering work, and it's all the more so for open source projects with hundreds of contributors. So basically, it's hard to say roadmap when you've got an external developer that may not commit anything right back. So this is completely understandable for an open source project. And it is true that I think the previous roadmaps have maybe been taken more of this is what we're going to do, not what we're aiming to do. So, and we all know in development, it always changes. Things happen. So, yeah, take it with all with a pinch of salt, as they say. So, interesting points. Core framework and engine. So, obviously, performance and quality with Impeller and the migration of iOS migration to Impeller. But interestingly enough, on Android, we expect that Impeller will support Vulkan and OpenGL ES in the near term. So very soon.
Ooh, so it's not far.
With an opt-out for Skia instead. So you can still use, you're still able to use Skia as and when required, at least for the beginning, which would be really good. So they want our feedback on this. This was in the release article as well. So please, let me push that to everyone that's listening. If you have an Android product you're using with Flutter, try the new Enable Impeller flag. It's been out for a while now, and any issues that you have, report them to the team. This is the only way that all of us can benefit from the enhancements of Impeller is if we all report the bugs that we find with Impeller. If you literally just try Impeller once it's released,
don't know is wrong.
Hang on. If you just try Impeller when they finally release it and you just go, oh, it doesn't work for me, and complain about it, well, you only have yourself to blame because you did not try the beta beforehand and report the bugs so they can fix it before release. So try it out on your apps now and get the feedback to the team. Sorry, it irks me when I see that and I'm like, well, duh, right? Anyway, let's carry on here. Investigate generalized core framework for better performance to meet design expectations on Apple, such as app bars, title bars. Also working to continue to work on Blank Canvas. Does anyone know about Blank Canvas? The internal project name for this? No? All right, well, I'll talk about this. We have spoken about this before on the Humpday Q&A, but we haven't given it its name, which is this was an initiative, I think, by Ian Hixie here. But this has been a problem that has been around for ages, and that is creating high bespoke branded sets of widgets, i.e. like the macOS widgets, the Windows widgets, the Microsoft widgets, all these things. They're really difficult. And that's basically because, you've got to go from the ground up, right? And also there's that notion of, oh, I'm stuck with material design or Cupertino, very mobile centric. How do we resolve that? And that's where Blank Canvas comes in, right? So you could read all about this particular details. I won't go into it right now. But however, here's a good example here of the current widget sets that we have for various different things. So Yaru is the, what are they called? What's the Linux provider? Oh, Canonical. Their package. You've also got the macOS UI package by our lovely Groovin Chip from the community. Provides iOS. There's also Fluent UI, which is the Microsoft one. Chicago, I think, was another sort of that was like a
Windows 95.
No, this wasn't the Windows 95 one. This one, well, let's open it up and I'll bring it open on stream here for people to see. This was done by Todd. That was Todd Volker, and this is actually really great, like just desktop sort of UI kit that is not specific to any one thing, but has all those sort of features that you kind of expect from a classical desktop interface. It's not particularly like Windows or anything else, right? There's a very GTK kind of feel to it to me when I look at that, but it's not driven from any one of those kind of things. Anyway, and there's a bunch of others in here, including obviously the built-in Cupertino material ones. So here's the kind of availability of those. Each one of these going across the top is each one of those packages you just saw down the right here, and then go down is each one of the kind of built-in widgets and what it supports. And as you can see, support is not great, right? So readable list, great. These two packages have it. None of the others have it, right? And these are the kind of the feeling is that this should all be green, right? If we really want compatibility across multiple platform and ease of development without us having to rewrite all our own widgets, this needs to be essentially green. So the idea here is, I believe from my understanding about this is that we have a base set of widgets for like slider sheets that are not material specific. They're not specific to any one of these things. It's a generically unbranded thing that on top you can implement Cupertino material, windows, whatever, right? And see how that kind of takes on from there. So that's where, from my understanding, where blank canvas comes in. There's lots of stuff in the concept here about how it might work and ways of approaching it. This is an open design document. They're all on they're not just linked from here, but they're all on the Flutter web page. If you have any comments, you can leave comments on the Google Docs. They're publicly shareable. Anyway, digressions, right? Talking about which, are you heading off?
Yeah, I've got to head off. Yep.
All right. Thanks very much, John.
All right.
And we'll see you again next week.
Hey, John.
Yep. See you next week.
I think John's replacement is here as well.
Yep.
Hey, Steph. Welcome.
And a replacement.
Hi.
Steph has a lot of shoes to fill because Danielle and I are both also getting ready to leave, but the roadmap came up.
I have a quick thing about the roadmap to get to before we go too far. So I'm going to come back to some of this. I want to talk about the web platform briefly because look, that'll make you happy, Danielle. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we also plan to resume web support on the web for hot reload on web.
Absolutely.
And also, they're also going to continue investigating support for SEO on web. For those that don't know, last week's release, specifically heavily, we can talk about this later on, supports a new JavaScript interface. And with that new interface, brings support for WASM, as well as lots more sort of benefits and performance improvements going forward, which kind of lead into the new year. And that's what that bit is about there in the middle. Anyway, go on.
Absolutely. Some of the WASM kind of stuff they've been doing, I'm looking forward to. They've got like great improvements for Chrome, but I can't release just to Chrome, so I'm looking forward to having something that's maybe a little bit more adaptive, so we can get these speed improvements for the browsers that are supported and not lose functionality for the browsers that aren't.
Well, like most development, you target one thing and then make it broader because you can't just target everything all at once because you get sort of paralysis. Then you can't do everything all at once, right?
Of course.
You refactor.
That was not a complaint from what they've done. That was just saying, great. It's great that they've done that so far. I can't use it yet.
Tirth, do tell.
Was this relating to WASM? Probably. Yeah. Hello, Steph. Welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Steph Patterson. I, along with Danielle and others, I'm sure she's already mentioned, co-manage the Flutteristas. I am also, for the last 3 years, been tech editor on Flutter Apprentice, the one that Google bought for everybody. But as of today, I am now a published author. The Flutter edition 4 was released today, and I am author on 4 chapters.
Nice.
And the Flutter Whisperer might be mentioned there in the dedication.
I saw that. It was so good.
And the Flutteristas are mentioned. Yeah.
It has been so long since that nickname came up. Nash started it a long time ago, and I think he was 16 when Simon threatened to kill him if he ever publicly said the words Flutter Whisperer.
Yeah, no. His name, if I could actually bring up the page because it's got his first and last name and Flutter Whisperer. It's in print. Well, Amazon hasn't approved it yet, so it's not in print yet. So I don't even have like a book to show you yet.
Physical,
physical book, but the subscriptions are there for online. And
I heard
PDF.
a rumor. I heard a rumor that if you drop this book on your foot, your foot is in deep trouble.
So
hey,
this
Frank.
is edition 3, and we added some chapters to edition 4. So some of the updates that happened, there's a new chapter in one of the beginning sections on advanced interactive widgets. I was the tech editor for that one. Vincent did an amazing job. He also changed his app. So the app that he has through the first part of the book is different, and Kevin updated his section where he's got the state management, all that. He's got a new API, a new app, and there are 2 other new chapters on unit testing and widget testing. And then there's some major updates from what I didn't TE the whole book, and so I've skimmed some of the parts just because it's been overwhelming, and COVID hit in November, and I'm still trying to get better. I updated the Firebase Cloud Firestore chapter, and it's using the Flutter Fire CLI and basically setting you up so you can have use Cloud Firestore for multiple apps instead, or multiple platforms. So in the previous chapter or previous books, it was here's how you do it in Android, and here's how you do it in iOS. Now it's written so you basically could do it all, and there are examples for doing web as well in splattered throughout the book. We also, and admittedly, I didn't go back and look at the last edition. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. I got to confirm something.
Blah, blah, blah.
I think my notes are right. I just want to make sure.
Actually, I'm waiting until Steph is done before I bail.
This is like what happens when you come straight from a meeting for your day job, and then okay, hold on.
That's what I'm going to be telling a tailor here shortly when I go running in. Okay. Tailored suit. I'll wear
new
it
book,
once a decade.
The new edition is has RiverPod and the state management, and as I mentioned earlier, there's web instructions on doing web stuff throughout the book, and also the updated apps that are being done. So also with the Firebase Cloud Firestore, there's a chat app, but it's different than what was before. So yeah, it's pretty exciting, and it was very surreal to see my name on the cover. So it was fun to do. It took a long time. I am going to put just because I know there's going to be questions, but because it was in page setting, it's currently Flutter 3.16.9 and Dart 3.2.6. Just because it's it was in page setting last week, so we couldn't do the other updates, but there is a
changes so fast. There's no way from the time the editor says okay and it gets sent to the printer and they get wet ink in the machine, there's going to have been another update.
Oh yeah, there were updates.
This is impossible to avoid.
As we were going through, so as when I was tech editing and also when I was authoring, when there was an update, I would update just to make sure that at least my stuff was right there. And
what you learned from the book is still applicable. Don't make the mistake of thinking just because there's been an update you can't learn from the book. You absolutely can learn from the book.
It's not like we went from Dart 3 to Dart 4 or Flutter 3 to 4 or the whole null safety thing, right? When that was done, we did all of that. So that's all in the book. So the authors did a really great job. We have a new author, Mike, who was in our previous books, wasn't able to join us on this edition, but his work was contributed to what we have. And so we have a new author, Alejandro, and he did the unit testing and the widget testing. We also have another TE, and you guys should know him. He was in, I think, DevCon London or whatever you guys had in London. Shri is our other tech editor.
That's right.
Yeah. And he did the tech editing on Kevin's chapters and then the new Alejandro. And of course, he had to tech edit my stuff. So anyway, it was pretty exciting.
Does the book mention server-side Dart at all?
The parts that I was heavily involved in did not have that. I am not, admittedly, not 100% sure on the others.
Curious. Well, because one of those things that came up recently was also this. This is supporting Dart and cloud functions. There's some movement in this in general for a while now, because obviously cloud functions are written in, but it doesn't have support for Dart. There's other languages like Python and JavaScript and things. But anyway, so this is explaining what the problem is. I know a couple of people in the community, Luke Pigetti and a few others have been pushing this, and I think we should push it as well. Put the link in the chat. Please upvote this. Get this into the people that need to see it. But basically, if we want Dart, if you want to write your cloud functions in Firebase and Dart, well, then this is the thing you need to upvote. Okay.
And don't be like the guy who said, I don't really care. I only upvoted because someone told me to. I wish I was kidding, but that's the comment directly below mine. I put in there that it's long overdue. It really needs to be there. And just underneath my comment was like, literally, someone saying they only upvoted because someone told them to. I mean, it was really sad.
Yeah. I also mentioned, don't comment on there. Just yes, thanks. Yeah, definitely. Or anything like that. Just comment if you've got something productive to add to the fact that for supporting Dart in the cloud, right? Like if you got something for that, stick a comment in there. But just
and I didn't just say it was long overdue. I said we're writing servers in there. We're writing all the other back end. We need to be able to do this too.
Okay.
All right.
Simon, I put a link for you to share.
Okay. I'll do that. Thanks.
Okay. And with that said, I need to turn into a pumpkin and go get stuck with needles. So hopefully a professional tailor won't do that.
They won't prick you too much.
Yeah. All right. I expect my copy of the book soon.
There's the link.
There's a link to get a copy.
Okay. I still, I'm here on the show. We're helping advertise the book, but I still need a credit card to get one. Yeah, I see how you are.
I'm like I said, I'm willing to pay for my copy, but I want it to be autographed.
Yeah. No, I will.
Yeah. You want it to be autographed?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to get autographed copies, Steph. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we need to get Alejandro to write. Oh, no, wait, Steph, too.
Definitely. Steph's what I care about.
Okay. Well, I do have to go back to day job. So are you gonna bash me some more? I'm gonna go back to my day job and
someday Steph's day job may be working for me. We'll see.
Ooh,
I knew she was gonna pull that in. Leslie, if you are watching, that came from Danielle, not from me. My boss was one of the first ones that I sent the link and showed her.
Oh, that's right. Your boss is one of the first people to be in the chat on every show. No.
Oh, but look, Anna, I'm wearing
Paco, yes, there are absolutely physical copies planned. Yes. That's what sending it to the typesetter means. If English is not your first language, you send it to the people who set up the physical machines that print the book. That's what the typesetter is. So it will be
on that link. You can go get other versions, and there's a way you can purchase it. It will be on Amazon. We're just waiting for the Amazon side.
Yep. All right. With that said, I'm going to get out of here. Danielle, you with me?
I think I may wait.
I'm going to.
But
well,
are there any questions for me? I didn't see.
Okay.
Sorry,
Danielle. If you just got to head off, then at least Randall can come back on the stage, and we'll.
I'm gonna drag Randall on stage here in a couple of seconds. So I'm gonna let him put his coffee down. There we go. See, Simon, remember that. Let people put their coffee down before hitting the button that drags them up on stage.
This is tea. This is not coffee. I don't drink coffee.
All right. Later. See y'all next week.
And for the record, those of us on here can see the people behind the scenes when they're not on screen. And Randall's eyes shot up real quick. Yeah, that's the dancing part, which we always see. But also, his eyes shot up real quick when Steph mentioned Riverpod in there. I mean, he's down working. The admin stuff going on the show. All of a sudden, eyes quick.
Yeah, I couldn't see because I'm a guest. I'm not one of the privy in the. Anyway, are there any other questions regarding the book? Yes.
Steph. So when do I get my copy? That's one. But also, you're fellow Oregonian, as I recall. Oregon may eliminate DST. Finally, yay! Just went to
well,
the
we can't do
state.
it. We can't do it unless I wish we'd stay on it, but California
Yes.
and Washington have to do it too. If we just get on there and we stay and stop changing, anyway.
Well, no, no. This is just independent. Oregon could just stop changing, and that's it. It's simple.
No, we can't. We have to.
It'll be confusing for all of us. But
Okay.
anyway,
All right,
All
moving on.
If there are
Moving
no
on.
other questions for the book,
Nothing's come through at the moment. So yeah, thank you for joining us, Steph.
Okay.
And,
yeah.
Bye.
Nice to
Thanks
see
for
you,
letting me
Steph.
drop in. Bye.
What were Steph? What were your chapters?
My
in the book?
chapters were the Firebase Fire. Oh my gosh, Firebase Cloud Firestore. So chapter 16,
Okay.
and then I'll answer your question in a second, Turt. And then the last 3 on basic publishing. Let me check the numbers because they changed.
Okay. That's I was just looking through the questions to see if there were any questions that would relate to your chapters.
Platform-specific app assets, build and release to Android app, and build and release iOS app.
Okay.
And I also mentioned Mac app briefly in the iOS one. And regarding the book, so the book on the wall is the one when Google bought it for the world. The new one is similar to this, but it has a different blue bird feathers on it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Steph.
Thank you for coming.
And yes, there's nothing like having your name on the cover of a book. I can speak from personal experience. As I was traveling around the country teaching classes everywhere, I would try to make a little bit of extra time to go into the bookstore locally and touch the books on the shelf. It's like, oh, it's real. It's real. It's a
Our
real
books aren't on the shelf
Yeah.
at Barnes and Noble or anything like that.
Oh, no.
The price for the physical copy, I don't know that yet because it's not available. I'm not quite sure if it
Do you know what
changed.
last year's one was? That's a price, or just a roundabout sort of number, just so people go, is it 80? Is it $80? Is it $20? Is it $50?
I think it's between 50 and 60.
Okay, there you go.
I don't know what the new one is. I don't know if it changed because there's a different additional chapters. But let's put it this way: Google loved it, and
$60
it
says on the website. $60 on the website.
Okay.
There you go.
See, and I don't see that because I'm a team member.
So it's going to be. I want to. What's the most expensive technical book you've purchased? There's a question for the people here.
Me?
I spent £120 on a book once.
Wow.
I don't know if I've done more than 80.
Yeah.
And it was because it was technically a textbook.
Well, I bought, before I joined the Codeco team, at the time it was raywunderlich.com, I had purchased all of their iOS app development books, like everything they had. And I wasn't a member of the team. And so there's like a pool of them, because once I got into iOS stuff, when I did, it's like, okay, buy. I don't even want to think about how much I spent. And I bought that and several others, but anyway.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you for coming, Steph. I'm going to let you get back to your
Oh
day
yeah.
job.
Okay.
go on.
Johan mentioned something. So there's a discount going on. So Codeco has boot camps, and there's go to codeco.com, and there's a special going on.
Okay.
Highly recommend them.
Cool.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Yeah. Thanks,
Bye.
Come back anytime, Steph.
What?
I said come back anytime.
Oh,
anytime.
come back. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. It kind of blurred there. Sorry. Yep. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
All right. Bye. Right. And see what other questions we got in the queue, because we want to get through these. And
15 questions in the queue.
we really didn't answer any questions this week with everyone
We
here.
did
So
this one,
let's
we did
see.
this one.
Oh, we
We
did
did
this
this
one. Okay. Yeah. Next one.
Oh, 14.
Any ideas for best practice on giving focus back to a field with autofocus after a dialog opens and closes? It's automatic.
I was gonna say, I never
It's
did
got
that.
a gist. He has a gist.
He's got gist. Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's go take a look.
Yeah, I think it's the first. I don't think we've done this before. We've talked about it.
This is perfect.
This could be it. This could be the day where we do our first gist.
Way to go!
At least I think it's a gist. It might just be random numbers put after the end of the question. I don't know.
How do
I do a base 64 encoding of something random, please? Oh, that's not base 64. That's just hex. I think. Yeah, it's just hex. Let me see if anything was outside A to F.
No, there's a way of doing this, and I've lost the link. Hang on, bear with.
Make one of your own and then paste that at the end of it.
No, because that's not on your account then. Oh. I just did that, and I just figured out that doesn't work. There's another way of doing it.
Maybe all this time we've been telling people to do this, we can't do it.
Oh no, you can. You can. I know you can. I just
okay.
I'm just forgetting how.
That'd be great.
There we go. Found it. You just do gist.github.com/the ID, and it takes you to that.
Oh.
All right. Let's bring up your code, Austin. Since you shared it. Right. How's your focus back to dialogue? Experiments to autofocus and dialogues. Like run app, app state, material app, center, all fields, column, my field will show dialogue. Interesting. I might always have some feedback on that. Show dialogue, context, dialogue builder, my dialogue. So, all right. So this is your general thing. So we got 3 fields, and in tapping on each one, submitting on each one of them, will cause the show dialog to appear. And let's go back to here. My field on submit, because there's a button, with field submitted. There's probably a difference between field and the button. And let me explain what's actually happening here. All you need to do is surround these 2 things probably with, we spoke about this the other day. What was it? Tap region. There's a text field. I think it's text form field tap region. Let me see if I can find the widget for you. We'll try it out in a second. By the way, we'll look at it during the live coding bit. Once we get through more questions, because I want to make sure we get whose questions answered. So let me explain what I think the problem is. First of all, is the button when you tap on it will take focus away from the text field before it displays the dialog box. So when the dialog box closes, it returns the focus back to the button and not back to the text field. So that's one problem I can see here. So surrounding this with a tap region will fix that. And on field submitted, I believe defocuses the widget before calling the callback. So in which case you're going to have the same problem. I may be wrong about that one. I feel like that's probably it. Because by default, it will return focus. So each route has its own focus scope. And when that focus scope goes away in the navigator, it returns focus to the previous focus scope, to the previously focused widget. So unless that widget didn't have focus, it should be fine. It should get focus. So we can definitely look at that. But yeah, the official widget, what's it called? Let me see if I can find this. So the official widget is called Tap Region, and there's implementations of it. Here it is. Let's bring this up on the stream here. Text field Tap Region, and what you do is you wrap like down here. So here there's an integer spinner. Let's see if I can get the example up. It's a bit cramped in here. Apologies. Maybe make it bigger. Probably not any better. Spinner field. Let me keep going down. It's the actual bit that makes sense. This is all of the example, right? So the bit we actually care about is way down here.
All right, I'm coming up on my hard stop, so I'm gonna have to leave. But chef's kiss, Austin Stoker for bringing this on here. That's amazing, and this is great. And we're starting conversation with other people learning how to do this for next time. So
yes,
thank you so much. Awesome. And unfortunately, I've got to leave.
Thank you for joining us, Danielle, and we'll see you again. Hopefully next week.
See you next week.
Anytime.
See you next time. Yep. Same bat time, same bat channel.
So here you go. So tap region around an outline button, some outline buttons, along with the text field somewhere. Anyway, you wrap your widgets with this text field tap region. And it means that when they try and gain focus or whatever, it won't focus away from the text field. I'm sure you're supposed to wrap them. Maybe there's something else to this, but anyway.
Paco's got some backup information here. So
there is a bug. There is an opened bug with Android Plus profile release mode. The autofocus doesn't work consistently when navigating to a screen. It doesn't affect debug, of course. So yeah, interesting. I'm gonna suggest that it may not be a particular Android or Flutter related issue here. What that might be is one of Go Router. So I don't know what the bug ticket is, so I'd have to go look at it. But I know what these like. Do we want to go look at it? I don't know.
How deep do you want to go on this one?
Exactly.
We still have 14 more questions. So,
but let's keep going because I want to also come back to Austin's code later. So
right.
We'll dig on. But anyway, generally speaking, there's a great little example. We can load this up and give it a go and see if we can fix it. So let's carry on here. So thank you, Austin. What's next? Who's next? Mamoon. How to get rid of set state and start real state management.
Start management, state management.
I'll be honest with you, set
Riverpod.dev. Riverpod.dev.
Like, I mean, at some point you're always so set state is part of stateful widget. You can do a lot of things without stateful widget, right? So that's it. Like, you don't need to use set state. However, if you're trying to just go, I don't want to ever use set state ever again and only use this other thing, I think you're doing the wrong.
That's not true.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Because
don't want to be doing
state management is to have observable state that can be shared between widgets. Set state is perfectly fine and often the best choice when you're doing state that's local to a widget. Like, for example, a text editing controller should not be in state management. Text editing controller should only be in the state of the stateful widget.
Okay.
Like that.
But yeah, I don't think you're ever going to get rid of set state fully. And if you are, you're making custom things to do your state because, well, stateful widgets so ubiquitous and so helpful. Why not use it? I think that's the question, right? And the point is, if you're just not using it to get rid of it, well, then you're working against yourself there.
I think part of it is there is this weird myth that keeps raising its ugly head that somehow a stateful widget is more expensive to build than a stateless widget. And I think it came out of that crazy camp that created that layer that the name that we shall not speak. I think it came out of that camp. And so people are carrying this myth around like, I should avoid stateful widgets at all costs. No, they're perfectly fine. They're not like inherently more expensive.
Build your app. If you have performance problems, fix the performance problems. Don't build your app a certain way to go, I may have this thing happen in the future. And if you build for the maybe or the possibly, you're too broad. It's the curse of the intermediate developer, right? The person that's in the middle, right? They've not been on enough projects to know don't do that, right? It's that. I mean, Randall, I'm sure you've had this experience in your career where you just like you had this idea. Oh, if I build this lovely interface and make it all flexible and this and that, and it's very nice code, but then you end up with this really broad scope thing that did one simple thing that you could have done in like 5 lines or something, right?
Yes.
And guess what? You never make you never use this interface multiple times in different ways and orientations or whatever, and you end up wasting all that time and effort and making your code extra complicated.
My long tested strategy is I don't build an abstraction until I've built 3 concrete implementations. Because until you get to the third one, you don't know which things correlate with each other and which things are independent axes of each other.
Yeah.
And so you need to get both dimensions before you know which knobs need to be tied together for the same control and which knobs need to be separate controls. And so you have to have 3 to do that. That's my personal experience. Done me well over the years. So.
I think I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Let's move
Andrew says, does Flutter in Windows have a wrapper for NT API? Yes.
That was fast.
So I'm going to say NT API loosely here. I know what you're talking about. So there's a set of functions from the Kernel 32 library which are prefixed NT, and these are the lower level abstractions that the User 32 and other libraries on top use. I don't think there exists one particularly on Andre that does that. The pub, however, has a package called Win32. Let me bring this package up. It was actually built. It was actually built by the product owner of Flutter back in the day, Tim Sneath. And here it is here. And Tim used to work at Microsoft, so he's got a background in Windows. So this is the Win32 package. And in here, you'll find a reference to all of the various libraries, including NTDLL. There you go. Okay, so it has one abstraction for NT query system information, right, which is one of the basic ones. There's a lot more in here. But if you want to, this is an open source package. You can go add them. And these are also generated. So there's I think this is the generate package. But a lot of these functions are ones that are generated out from the original header files. I think it's code generation that does this, if I remember rightly. It may have changed. It's been a while. There's also FFI. So this all uses FFI, and there's also generators for that. But to be honest, it's super simple to get in there and just do it. So yeah, if you're looking for Windows support, Win32 would be the package I recommend. There is a bunch of other packages around that are coming soon, TM, as it were. So let me bring these up on screen here. I think it's it's in the same Dart Windows repository. They are actually released. They're still being worked on as far as I remember. It has been a while. Apologies. So you'll find you've got the Win32 ones. Is it this one? WinRT, I think it's that one. Packages. Yeah, so now you have all these packages. So Windows Graphics, Windows Media, Windows Networking, Windows Web, UI, Systems. So these are all the new APIs that you should, if you want to make a Windows app, you should be using the WinRT set of libraries, part of Dart Windows here. Let's see if I can.
Too bad John's gone already.
I'm sure somewhere there's a link to this. A bit of the time that I actually want to get to it, I can't find what I'm looking for. WinRT programming. Yeah, this is just to walking you through it. But basically, the new Windows runtime stuff is the new version of Windows that is not legacy. And it's how if you want to make what's called a UWP, Universal Windows App, then Windows App, Windows Project, Windows Process, whatever it is. Anyway, basically Universal Windows App that will go into the future, then you need to be using the WinRT functions and not those NT kernel functions, because they're not going to exist for much longer. Just letting you know, Windows 10 support ends in 2025, I think it is. So,
oh my God, let's get set up now. That's important. Yes,
and to on that point, before I forget, last Thursday in the release of Flutter, no longer supports Windows 7.
Oh no! And I'm sure you're familiar with the HAL IBM correlation, that they're one letter off from each other, and that actually was part of the story. And at some point, the author Clark actually said yes, it really was related to IBM. But did you also know where WNT came from? It's VMS. The VMS director at DEC was one of the key players for Windows NT.
Ah, okay. Well, NT stood for new technology. Was that a marketing thing afterwards?
Well, that's a backronym. He started with WNT.
I thought it was a backronym.
And figured out what to call it. Yes, and what to call it. Yeah, but that's how WNT got created, because it was the VMS guy.
Well, it's like most people don't realize that NS, the prefix in a lot of Apple code, is next step.
Yep, indeed.
like exists from back in the day. Anyway, naming things is hard. It's always hard in programming.
Yeah.
Right. What does River ask here?
Why PopScope is not working in Android? I have a bottom nav bar. I have to show exit dialog on device, back button click. That's a lot of nouns.
So if you look, when you ran your application, it would have told you needed to add a little Boolean value to your manifest file for it to work. That's probably why. So if you upgraded your existing Flutter app to the latest Flutter version and needed to work on Android 14, I can't remember what version came out with the... You're going to make me look this up, aren't you? We literally spoke of this on every show for like ages. Hang on. Flutter breaking changes. Blah, where is it? Migration guides. Not yet stable. Oh, it's in stable now. Where is it? 3.16. Find pop. It's got to be there somewhere. Just in time pop predictive back. That's the one. Let me put this in the chat. And I'll also bring up on stream for you. So this is the documentation that you need to be looking at. This is the predictive back feature and the migration to PopScope on Android 14. And I think it's written in here. It does come up as a warning when you run your app. And no doubt it won't be in here now I said that. Migrating back. Yeah, here we go. This is what you probably missed doing. So you need to go into... you need to go into your Android manifest file, and you need to add this Android enable on back invoke callback to your activity. I think it is. There's a full guide here. Maybe to the application tag pass, but you can go read it up. But anyway, that's the thing that you're probably missing doing. Otherwise, you won't get the notice of the back events coming to Flutter. Anyway. So that's now out there. So anyway, read the migration guides. That's what they're there for. And hopefully this whole pages and pages of documentation here, which will take you to the right place. Hopefully that will help you. There's no reason why it wouldn't work. It works for everyone else, put it that way. So,
I missed a question earlier, so we're going to scroll back a little bit.
Okay, all right, no worries. There is a point to this whole PopScope for people that don't know. So previously was that your application would be asked, can the user go back or not? Mm-hmm. Right. So this is very important. So the user previously on Android would have to press the back button. When they press the back button, it then asks the application, can the user go back or not? And then you tell it yes or no. Right. That's essentially how it works. Now we got the swipe to go back. And that's now an action. It's not necessarily a button press. So now, okay, you got that. Now, if you want to animate those pages as you go around with the swipe, then you need to know, can I go back before you start trying to do the animation? And this is where PopScope comes in. This is where predictive back comes in. And it's a name, it's a gimmicky name. The notion is now you tell the operating system ahead of time if the user can go back or not. So it knows if it can start the animation ahead of time. So if they won't let them drag from the edge of the screen, for example, if PopScope returns false. If PopScope returns true, then it will allow them to drag from the edge of the screen. You get the nice animations then taking place. And then we can actually have Flutter react to those animations. And you have really nice kind of, as the user tries to go back, it does the nice swiping gestures, or it does some weird sort of paging animation, whatever you want, right? And you can do that kind of thing. But this is the first step along that path, and that is switching from Will PopScope to PopScope. And if you're using the latest version of Flutter, you need to be, and you didn't make from the new template, you need to go through that process of migration. Right. All right. Sorry. Kind of want to put that there. Did you want to bring up an old question, or do you want to?
It's already just to scroll up. It should be in starred still.
It'll be at the very bottom now, if it's an old one. So
no,
515. This one from Turth. Is that the one?
Yeah, that one.
For FlutterCon Europe's CFP site, is mentioned travel and accommodation covered on a case-by-case basis. And there's no exact criteria. Turth, I think it's more of a case. Sorry, it's more of a case of submit your CFP. You'll see if you're selected, and then we need to look at the budget and constraints to understand what we can offer at that time. So submit. I mean, you don't know unless you submit, right? So that's the thing with all these CFPs. You don't know if you're going to get picked and what that might mean. And you can always say, if you get picked, you can say, I can't make those travel arrangements. In fact, when you submit the CFP, there's a comments box where you can put that kind of thing in there. I won't be able to afford the flights from my location to that location, and then the team knows ahead of time. But yeah, there's no guarantees, as always. Like there's not an infinite budget on these things. So,
like the rest of life, there's no guarantees, right?
Yeah. All right. Duncan asked when to use Flutter Void versus
future void
scheduled microtask. I mean, that's a good question. Let me have a quick think about this. I'm going to look up scheduled microtask because, yeah, I guess that I would say. So Danielle did actually leave a message for us earlier. Hang on. The future version just returns it's never had to yield, right? Well, no. So both of these are exactly the same, right? You've got a. Hang on, let's have a quick look at this. It feels like those brackets are wrong. Those brackets are wrong. Yes. Let me just put. Well, let me put this into chat. Actually, in fact, let me bring
here too.
Oh well, let me. Yeah, I mean, yes. Well, is it after or before? Anyway, go look up. There's concurrency in Dart, which actually lists this information. I can't be bothered going to dig it out right now. But the point here is, sorry, I just want to be clear about the example. Can you bring the example back up?
That was just maybe. Hold on. Start this.
Yes, perfect. So let's just bring this up, make it bigger. So future void. So that versus schedule, basically the same, like schedule microtask, right? So you can pass a function to schedule microtask, and this does something. Let's say print hello, right? Whatever it might be, like print. Right. This one is not. This is not a future function or anything like that. What you can do. I mean, am I missing something here? Like that's not going to run the future function. I've never seen that syntax before. I don't think that would compile even. What you can do is describe a function and then execute that function, which would be this, right? You don't normally declare the return type, but that's fine. And then this would be async, right? In this case. So that's perfectly valid. And this one down here could also be async if you really wanted to. It wouldn't make a difference. So interesting enough, you can also do this without that, right? Because what you're saying, here's function parameters, it's async, here's our body, and then the parentheses at the end essentially running this function. So if you had string input, you could do something like this. Just to make this clear about what this is doing. There you go. So that would output hello world, right? You're passing world in as the input to the previously declared function, which is because the result of this expression here is a function, and then you can call a function with parentheses, right? So output hello world. But yeah, in terms of what is it versus the other one, well, as was said, schedule microtask appears in a different place in the loop, I believe, to the futures. The futures are queued up. That's it, really. Like there's when to use them. Sorry, Duncan does say when. It's really that if you need some work to happen after the futures or before futures, then you'll use one or the other, basically. But to be honest, it's not normally the case where you need to do that, and I wouldn't concern yourself with it. If you schedule, for example, the one I just showed you, there's schedule microtask with a future. It's a mix of the two. You're scheduling it for later, and then it puts the future into the chain of not chain. I wasn't talking about into the stack of things to execute, basically. Yeah. I guess moving on.
Sure.
Do you want to take control?
Okay, I got it. Yes. Shreeman asks, how to handle JSON from the server because sometimes the key values may be null, or should we just mark all nullable? Well, if you want to know if something's there, you're going to need to check for it.
So I see what you're saying. So I mean, that's literally up to you. So it's about how you design your product, right? So I'll give an example of what I've seen before, right? Let's say you have an update API. You only send the fields that you're changing. What you don't want to be doing is sending an entire model with lots of fields. Say null, 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 null. Say you're not sending them, right? Also, it makes your code more complicated on the app because you now have to declare your field nullable. You have to deal with the nullable issues from that. So I think this is more a case of how you want to, it's just you designing how you want to interact with your server, what's best for your use case. Without knowing a bit more, it's very hard to say. I try to shy away from all nullable stuff. It ends up being more headaches than it's worth. For most part, there's never a need. Everything can have a default value. So the different. Okay, let me give you a key here, Cherie. There's this notion of having a sentinel value, and it's not often described enough with the nullability stuff. So this is a value that you consider to be let's say you had a string, right? You have a string value, and its default value is a static constant value that you've declared as being, I don't know, not set. So you could put curly brace, curly brace, curly brace, not set in a string or something similar. And there's some magical value that's called a sentinel value. And it just says, if I see this value, the field is not set. It still has a string, it still has a value, but now it has this sentinel value that takes the place of null, of the use of null. And this way you can still use it, you can print it, you can debug it without getting nullability issues or null exceptions. However, when it comes down to you using the value, you then compare it to the sentinel value before you try and use it and go, oh, it's not set. It's essentially very similar to the concept of optional, that you're essentially marking the field as being optional, and if it's not been set, then it's marked as not set. So you're adding this kind of extra Boolean flag. The nice thing is you're not making another object, you're not making another flag, you're not adding extra metadata. Do you know what would be what's really interesting about this? Wow. Extension types.
Oh yeah.
The new extension types that were released, we can talk about this and maybe in a bit, but the new extension types that came out last Thursday and was part of Dart, that actually solves this kind of problem. So what you would do there is you would have your type that you're passing to from the server be this extension, well, in your model extension type that surrounds your underlying string or whatever. And then you can have a sentinel flag on it, right? And you can have a sentinel implementation of that object, and with zero extra cost, because the extension types are functional additions to the underlying type. There's no memory impact. There's no objects that are being created. So I don't know. That's interesting. I might have to try that out.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. All right.
Next.
Oh, I'm driving. Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Who's pushing the buttons here? It must be me.
Feel free to add stuff to this. I'm just plowing through them so we can get through them.
I was actually just mentioning on the previous one that's possibly a time to introduce functional programming like FP Dart to get the sum and none types from before. So
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So
all right.
Is it okay to use the same repo for two get dot? You know what that means? Lazy put controllers. This is our friend.
This is
GetX.
This is
GetX.
No.
And we've already discussed it thoroughly in the chat. So yeah.
No. Just no.
Just no. It's easier.
Deserve everything you get. That's what I say to that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're on to the next one. That's it. I have a list view which displays nearest users to your location. Each user causes list rebuild every time they send a new location. If there's a lot of users, the list is lagging. What should I do?
You should keep your items on your list. First of all, list view builder, and then key your. I can tell you exactly what I think is happening on your thing. Right. Any sibling widgets of the same type need a key. This is exactly what you. So what's gonna let me explain maybe visually here what maybe the brief like visual here what's going on. So you have a list of items 1, 2, 3, 4 with I don't know, Simon, Randall. Is it what's sorry, I've forgotten the name. Oh, Roberto. Of course it's Roberto.
Okay.
And Scott, right? And then what happens is a new data wants to come. So this is your list on the screen. New data wants to come here in at the beginning. And we're going to add a John, right? Now, John's going to come in. And now inside Flutter, it makes a comparison of the widget types, right? So this entry, which was Simon, right? It doesn't get moved down on the screen to the next one, right? So the outcome, what you want is Simon to be moved down to here, Roberto to be moved down to here. Randall to be moved down to here, Roberto, and then we have this addition of Scott, and then John is coming in here, right? That's ideally what you want to happen. But what's actually happening is the data, the configuration of your widget is what that was Randall is now being given Simon. So it has to rebuild the widget, relay it out, and re-render it. That's what's going wrong. If you key it, it will maintain the original widget configuration because it now matches, and it won't have to relay it out, and it won't have to re-render it because they're wrapped in repaint boundaries or the list items, right? So, ta-da, no lag. Literally just moves them down on the screen. It literally is just the list view itself reposition the widget on the screen down, the render object down. That's it. Super, efficient. So basically, each of your items that you've got has to have a key. Every list item that is the same type has to have a key. Most people forget this. They just stuck a list view builder and they don't add a key to the child widgets. That is your problem. There is a widget in the framework called keyed subtree, and it has a keyed subtree builder for a child index. And that is like the go-to. If you want to wrap something without having to think about the keys, use that. List view builder doesn't strictly need that because it's super simple. You get the index in. But if you've got other places you need it, you might want keyed subtree. Anyway.
Well, on to the next one. Has someone tried to use RiverPod for integration testing, mother of all tests, real device, to handle the more complex scenarios needing data for seeding?
That's your bag. That's not my bag.
I know. I don't know what the problem is. So if you want to elaborate a bit, maybe we can take another whack at this. But I don't know what you're missing, because integration tests are just integration tests. You just run them and they just work. I mean, that you're.
I guess you could have particular. That's a good point. You could do a scope override, right, on a RiverPod provider.
Yeah.
So you could. So Paco, you could like do a scoped override on a RiverPod provider that has a provider that provides the initial seeding data, and that would override, like in that scenario, you're then providing a different set of data for your tests. Is that what you mean?
Oh, this is there was a follow-up I thought to that. I forgot to mark that, but practically passing and mutating data between robots in the integration test. What's a robot in integration?
I know.
We don't know. We welcome robot overlords, but I don't really understand.
There's ways of passing. If this is a full integration, I think maybe this is what someone is a full integration test. So this is one that runs on device. So it's not just you running integration tests locally. This is on device integration testing, and there's a channel that you communicate with over that device, and you have to send data back and forth. And you could send seed data and bring it back, and it's not simple though. There's no reason why you couldn't. Robot pattern?
Robot pattern. Oh, I don't know. It's a robot pattern.
It's a new one to me.
Strange terminology for us.
we're old farts. We don't know these newfangled kiddie.
Yeah, really. Anyway,
I've got close.
Sorry, this was somewhat.
Fill us in, and we'll come back to it.
Yeah. How do you center a list of widgets and make it scrollable once it's larger than the available height? Isn't that the way scrollable already works? If it's not tall enough, then it's not scrollable. It already works that way, right?
No. Yes. I've seen this kind of thing before. It really does depend. I have come up with similar situations. I'm just trying to picture it. So the way, if you look at single child square root documentation, it has an example, which is you wrap your single child scroll view in a layout builder. You get the height on the outside. You then set a constraint box on your inside with that height, right? This is the notion of setting your minimum height of your scrolling content to the maximum size of what's outside. So it always sets to fill the outside. You can then put a center widget in there and with your items inside the content. And then you wrap that entire thing in an intrinsic height. This is already mentioned in the single child scroll view documentation. And that is the go-to standard way of doing it. I wouldn't say it's the best. I don't particularly like it. I feel like the framework probably could do with a custom widget to better do this, but it works out of the box for most use cases. There's not really a place where you have a really complex layout that you want centered on the screen like that. It's not like it doesn't go out screen bound. So I don't know, see how it goes. But the documentation of single child scroll view does have an example of doing this. Yeah, it's got it's the one that with intrinsic height and the box constraint override. There's a couple of examples in there. And then you just put a center inside that. And then you could, then if the content gets larger, it will start scrolling. Hopefully that helps, Damien. I mean, it is a common thing. It is a common thing that people have. I feel like there should be a flag. Maybe I should we? I feel like I really want to submit a PR for this now. I really want to submit a flag like fill like minimum height. It should just be minimum height to parent, like a flag that you set on single child scroll view. It's so common to do. And then to having to wrap it in all these other widgets, it does. I feel like it's a very common thing to do with a single child scroll view. Anyway, I digress.
Yep. Wait. Oh, he's saying we misunderstood. Maybe this helps. List view does not center. Yes, that's right. We were.
Yeah.
Yeah. List view doesn't center. But single child scroll view with that. Yeah, as you said before.
Oh, I usually resort to using a single child scroll view with a column as a child inside a center.
Yeah.
With a column inside. I mean, you don't need a column. I guess if you want like vertical content. Sorry, I guess. Yeah. Sorry, let me bring up the previous question here. Sorry, I really literally read that wrong. I resort to using this. So how do you make a list view do this? You don't. List view doesn't support. There you go. There you go. It does have a. It does. Well, actually, I lie. I don't think list view does. The underlying box builder does. So box scroll view, whatever it's called. Hang on, let me bring it up. So there's a little known hidden flag on that actually. So let's see if I can. Let's see if we can share this. So I'm just trying to remember. So custom. Wow, this is going to take. Sorry, I'm racking my brains here because it's been a while. So just bear with me. There is a center, start alignment, whatever it's called. Brain. Center, key center, and anchor. So on a custom scroll view, this allows you to change where the start position is. And if it starts in the center, you can do that with these. Go check it out. I forget. But basically it means that the first widget in the sliver is going to be in the center, moved down because of the anchor position. So 0, 0 is the top. I think 0.5 is the center. I think, it's 0 to 1, if I remember rightly. I'm pretty sure it's described somewhere. Let's have a look, see if the documentation mentions anchor. Anchor. I know it's mentioned somewhere. Positive relative position to the scroll, 0 scroll offset. That's not helpful.
No.
I think list view has it as well, though. So let's just have a look. I think list view has it. Let's have a quick look. I think they were pushed up.
There's properties anchor on list view.
Oh, you did. All right. Well, let me just have a quick look here.
In the right sidebar, there's an anchor you can click on.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
It might have more details.
Oh, there you go. Look. There you go. Relative position. An example. If anchor is 0.5 and the axis object in terms of the scroll offset, blah, 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 the 0 scroll offset is vertically centered within the viewport. There you go. That sounds to me like what you want. Try that, Damien.
Done already. Just
Hopefully that helps. I have a feeling it may not be as simple as that. So it looks like Oh, look, change the default value, scroll the anchor center. So this is the key center. Children after center will be placed in the axis to determine the scroll, the reverse order to center. Children before center will be placed in the opposite direction of the axis relative to center. This makes center the inflection point of growth direction.
Weird.
Just play with your mind. Oh, look,
I
there's an
gotta play
example.
with that. That's oh wow.
An example. Should we have a look? I have no idea. Does it work? Will it blend?
Yeah.
Is there a play button? Oh, well, we're done. Can I scroll? Scroll. Oh, run. Here you go. That would be helpful, wouldn't it? Right. So we've got A, B to Z, unique key center, up arrow, down arrow, back arrow. All right. Let's just see what UI output has to show. Up. Can I scroll down? I have no idea. That's.
That's a great example. It's a great example. It's not working.
Am I? Oh no! Well, we're done.
Sorry, I'm laughing at your expense.
That's fine. Oh my God! They're white. Look, they're at the top there. Look.
White on white,
up,
man. That's
up,
useless.
Down. Oh no! This is the axis scroll, and it's just showing where center is because of the center widget is always in the center, right? Basically.
Nice.
So I think that's what you're looking for, Damien. Does that help? Hopefully.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's been a while since I looked at that.
Let's move on. Yes, I want to hear from your experience, not mine, yours apparently. What do you think about Dart Frog for medium to large scale projects? I think it's great with Milos and shared packages, but I don't know if it's mature. Dart Frog, I think, is production ready. Has been for quite a while.
I mean, yeah, it's been around for a while. It's not as old as things like Shelf, but I think Dart Frog is built on top of Shelf. I think. Yeah, I honestly can't remember. I've not used it, so I couldn't speak to it specifically, should I say? If I could even find it.
It's somewhere.
I typed in Dart Frog, and all I've got is actual like poisonous frogs, apparently. Here we go. The fast millisecond backend framework for Flutter. There you go. On request, Bosh. So built for like speed, lightweight. Tap into powerful frameworks like Shelf, DevTools testing, and so on. Dart Frog 1.0 is here. When was that released? I can't remember. I don't know if it's been actively maintained or anything. Yeah, 2023. So let's go find the package, right? I mean, sorry, it opened up another tab. But anyway, that apparently article is 2023. But where's the? Do we have a link
Where's
to
the pub for it? It has to be in pub, right? So
I don't know what the package is called.
Yeah, it's a pub package.
Here we go. Dart Frog 1.1. Okay, so that's better.
19 days ago. That's not bad.
Sorry, I opened up another tab. Let me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
19 days, so it's active.
19 days ago, so I'd say that's good. It's being maintained, right? There you go.
Supportive nested routers. Nice.
I mean, it's had a couple of stuff being added to it. Option for shared parameters. This docs, chores.
Nice.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Use it and see if it works for you. I mean, I'd be honest with you. Why wouldn't it be medium to large? I mean, the thing is,
I guess, as opposed to what? I mean, there's ServerPod is in the same area, but so compare this to ServerPod. Try
Shelf, try if you're trying to commit to a large, you've got your medium large scale project. Assuming you're then you're either working on a brand new greenfield medium to large project, and you expect it to be large, or you're porting an existing platform that is medium to large, and you want that to work with Dart, right? Or work in Dart, and those two scenarios, I'd say the first one is I'd say just pick one and go with it, because at greenfield you try it out and see how it feels, and if at some point you need to change it. You've made a decision. When it comes down to moving over an existing one, well, you've got the benefit of being able to benchmark what you have got, or look into what you've got and recreate what you've got maybe not at the detailed level that you need finally, but maybe to see how it reacts and feels. Like maybe on a front end type way, not have the I don't know, back end calls to the database or whatever being finished off, and that might give you the kind of information you need. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's what Randall said: try each one and see what fits your scenario. I mean, honestly, you can just go grab the HTTP, the built-in HTTP IO library, and you have request response. You know, you could build like a few classes on top of that as your framework that does exactly what you needed to do, and you're done. You've got a web server, right? You've got your API server. The nice thing I have to say, I don't know about Dart Frog, and it says it works with Shelf, but Shelf's been around a long time, which is exactly that. It's a framework that sits on top of the HTTP library, and there's a ton of pub packages that extend Shelf capabilities.
Yes.
Right. And that means that you get the sort of that long. If you don't want to code it all yourself, you know, you've got that to back onto.
And Shelf is also first party too. Shelf is a Google product, not just a third party.
Google product. I don't know if it's not official.
I think it's Dart Dev. I think if you go to the
tools.dart.dev, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
so it's a Google product.
It's a first party product. Yeah.
First party. Yeah. That's I did a video about that a while back where I introduced people to the idea that there's like 7 or 8 domain names that packages show up on that are actually Google producing those. That's pretty obvious with the names, but it's like, don't think of pub as only being third party stuff. There is some first party stuff there. So don't be shy about using a package, especially if it's coming from Google. So you've got the main core support that way for that. Alrighty, I think we beat that one to death. Let's go on to the next one. Any review of package media kit with the supporting all platforms?
Didn't even know it existed.
All platforms? Okay, well, we can look.
Never even heard of Media Kit.
Yep.
What does it do? Let's have a look.
I don't know. But there's a web page for it.
Should we bring it up? I've never used this. We're not commercializing it. MediaKit.dev, cross-platform video and audio player for Flutter and Dart. Sponsored by Stream. So I would guesstimate that Stream probably use it in their library. Yeah, Media Kit. Okay, so video, libs video. Okay, Media Kit. Audio, so you got video or audio, should not be mixed. Okay. The performance release mode is substantially higher than debug, normally the case, especially with video, and use your split per APK. This has me interested. So I'm wondering if this ships native assets then, because there's no other reason I can think of that you should be splitting your ABK. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna have a quick look at the download file and see what's inside. The problem here is what you don't want to do, I'll be honest with you, is have it seems quite small, is have a library. This says ARM v8, so this is probably just the one. But let me have a look inside. I know you guys can't see this. Sorry, I can't be bothered go through the hassle right now. Hang on, let me just have a quick look. Lib ARM v8. Okay, yeah. So there we go. So it ships with libmediakit Android helper, libmediakit event native event loop, and libmvp media. I guess that's media player video. That is 11 megabytes. Just for your app. So that adds 11. So adding this library to your standard app, Android app deployment adds 11 megabytes to your app, all above the libflutter's 10 megabytes and libapp, in this case, the example, 5 megabytes. So that's a substantial increase in your app size. Now, it probably does this for a reason, but I would be cautious around the fact that some of these video libraries, they use FFmpeg or a software-based decoder on a mobile platform. This is not a good idea. I don't know about this one. I cannot talk to this specific case. However, I've seen this in a lot of the libraries. If you use a software decoder, a CPU-bound decoder for video, you're not taking advantage of the hardware decoding chips that are inside your phones. And your phone gets super hot because you're decoding using the CPU. You're not using the efficient, the memory efficient and the, power efficient codecs that are part of the system on chip that's in your phone. It's going to use the CPU to do it instead, right? So you don't. It's like it's basically the same as like having one instruction to decode a SHA hash, like on your chip, or having all the mathematical operations to develop a SHA hash and running those on your CPU. One does not equal the other. One is more optimized down sort of lower level in the hardware, right? That is the SHA specific instruction. That's what the codecs bring you. So shipping FFmpeg and adding like goodness knows how many megabytes to your app for a software decoding library that supports a wide range of media wrappers and codecs and everything else that you probably don't use in your application. You know, like it's up to you, but you know, it saddens me to see that there's apps out there that are like hundreds of megabytes to download now, and most of that code is not used. It's complete waste of bandwidth. And it's not great for your users either. I mean, especially if you're in a world where there's still quite a few countries that, you know, bandwidth costs a lot of money. It's not free. It's not like where you pay like a fixed rate. You know, you pay for your per megabyte. You know, in a lot of places, right?
Yep.
All right. Sorry, I kind of digressed there, but anyway, this does look interesting. I love the fact that it supports all these things. Oh, look, it does say hardware GPU acceleration, so that's great. And it does say it supports all the cross platforms. I'd love to have the author on, or the authors on. Yeah, Hiteshi Kumar Sani. I assume that's the person. But yeah, I'm always just cautious of what is included in your app by third-party library, especially a video player. But this actually looks pretty cool, I have to say. I've not looked at where's the example? Is there an example in here? So let's have a quick look before we get on to the next question here. So video controller, okay. You create a player. You create a video controller on that player. I like this because there's always a problem with the current video player, which is you have to kind of like tell you can only create the player, the UI. Assuming that's what this is. Once the video controller has been initialized, which kind of like has this boilerplate that goes around it, which is kind of annoying. You end up just sticking that in a widget, forget about it. So this kind of gets away with that, I guess. And player to open, media, blah, blah, blah. So it says then media or playlist. That's pretty cool. Dispose, player dispose. Okay, so I'm assuming that then the player disposes of the controller. Maybe that's not how this works.
Probably
there's your UI that you attach to the controller. So again, this doesn't seem to be that you can build a UI without having the controller to have to be initialized first, which is nice. You may need to add required permissions to your project. Okay, so there might be some. This is probably just to access the network, internet, or to read media from the system, or to read external storage. Be cautious of these two. These are called dangerous permissions now. People don't want to give this. If you put it this way, would you like to give any random app that you install access to all of your photos, videos, and everything on your device? No? Well, then you're not going to give this permission. And the same goes for write. Would you like to give any application the ability to delete all of your photos, video, media, and everything else on your device? Probably not. So don't you want to? Wow, that's cool. You probably want to get rid of these, right? And don't ever put these on there, to be honest, on an Android app. But these are the alternatives you want to go for, which are about reading files. Yeah, but this is great, like easy granular approach. This using the permission handler, which is a good package. iOS as well. Anyway, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
good stuff.
Good stuff. All right, moving on.
Push buttons, Randall. This one. There we go. Block versus qubit. Does qubit do whatever the block do or not? They're both useful, and we did discuss this a little bit in the chat already. But I mean, basically, yeah. I mean, you can just look up on the man page too. So a block is the framework and typically uses state machine states to essentially drive things. Qubit's a simpler interface, as I recall, but some applications it's sufficient.
Yeah,
but,
I think if I remember rightly, the block package is built on top of Felix's qubit package. Felix, the author. I just can't remember what the name of it was. I was just trying to look for it.
I just use RiverPod. I ignore this stuff. Unless my client drags it in front of me, then I have to pay attention.
I forget. It's been a while. Anyway, or maybe it's part of the underlying block package qubits.
I think they
are different interfaces, and if one did everything that the other one did, then there wouldn't be need for the other one. So the answer is no. They don't do everything they need to do. I suspect they just do a similar thing, and that is manage state, but just in a different way.
Yeah, different ways.
I'm looking at the example here on of the Flutter block package, and I see qubits there. I think again, it's what you said before. One is about managing the state of an object, where one is about managing events and state and the whole sort of block flow. So qubits are more like, think of qubits more like RiverPod providers, or like here's a piece of data that has that can be statefully listened to, like a notifier, versus a block, which is a process and a pattern to use, which has events and states and transformation of those. Does that help?
I think it's also that a block always includes metadata, in the sense that you build an abstract data class always, and then your signaling changes by changing the type of the data change to the events.
Still classes, essentially,
Right, and actually in the chat here, we've got somebody who knows more than we do. Qubits directly emit, but for state it needs to be emit. State is needed. Probably for block.
Well, for block, state needs to be emitted, basically.
Right,
which is basically what I'm saying.
Okay. Cool. All right. That was the next to last one. This is the last one. Are there any best practices in doing integration in most platforms? I never caught an issue with my Flutter app, only an old Android version. Doing integration with most platforms. Best practices is do it in a way that finds bugs.
So, I mean, it really just does. I don't think there's any best practices. I mean, you need to. The problem, I think, the best practice is go read the documentation on the platform that you're trying to integrate with. So I'd say, like, the problem here is, you're trying to, like, it's like you go, oh, like, here's this thing where you go, Flutter is cross-platform, right? And it is. And for the most part, most Flutter apps can just be, you do the normal template or whatever else, it just works. It does what it needs to do. And that works for most applications. However, a good example here is you want to download, let's say you want to download media in the background. Let's say you've got a sync feature. You say it's a media player app and you're doing a sync feature of the user's sound library, audio library, whatever. Well, sadly, that's not something that's built into Flutter, download and sync my audio library. And you may need to talk to the operating system to work out how you do stuff in the background. You may need to work with the operating system about getting the user's choice of audio library, or where that folder is, or something like that. So these are the things that you're going to go and have to work out how you do that on each particular platform you're dealing with. And it just so happens some people may have had a similar problem and have built a library or package on Pub that completes some or all of what you're asking for. And therefore you can take advantage of the code that's already done. But for the most part, you should be thinking about this of, how do I tackle this from each platform? The problem with doing this is that then you end up having to become an expert in each of the different platforms, or at least knowledgeable in each of the different platforms. But you need to do that anyway if you want to target the different platforms. So either you work with a team of people that have knowledge in those different platforms, so they can bring that. So most of the Flutter app is going to be cross-platform, multi-platform, and then you have the specific domain knowledge, or you gather that domain knowledge yourself. And that means for the individual things that you're trying to do in that platform, you're going to have to understand what that problem space is and how to achieve that in that platform. And sadly, you would have to do that anyway. If you wanted to release on, let's say, Windows or Mac, that scenario, you would have to go look up how you deal with the audio library or how you do background downloads or whatever on Mac and on Windows and on whatever, right? Does that hopefully answer your question? I guess so.
Hopefully. If not, you can ask again. Also, 3.19.1 just got released. It's a minor fix for Flutter web launching with flavor. That's it. So it's not really anything new to really trump around.
Does it support flavors now? I remember Flutter web not supporting flavors for ages, and you had to do something special.
Well, apparently it was broken, so maybe it worked for a while, but that's all it said in the release note that came out. So whatever. Yeah. So, did you want to demonstrate something with the wrapper classes?
I'll be honest, no.
No.
I did to the beginning of this, but I am absolutely shattered today, and I'm also hungry right now. So
okay, and I got a hard out in a half hour anyway. So
I think we're going to call it here today, guys. Sorry,
Sounds
I know we're talking about this and code. Did anyone want to they're staying for specifically one thing? Maybe we can squeeze it in. Otherwise,
there wasn't anybody. There wasn't anybody.
So we did talk about that Austin's like focus thing. I don't know if he fixed it. So if he's still around, maybe. But other than that, probably end it here. I'll give people. It's okay to have
it is okay to have a show that's under 3 hours. It is okay.
Is it? Are you sure?
Well, let me check the rule books. Hold on. Let me check the rule books.
Well, we're going to get complaints from the what are they called? The governing bodies.
Yes, right.
They'll be like, how dare you? How dare you?
The elders of the internet will.
The elders of the internet. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
With the black box with the red blinky light. Yes.
Right. You have not committed enough hours. Yes, you've not committed enough hours this week.
I think you know what? I think we're going to do one little thing.
Okay.
So Austin said just now. He said he's updated the gist with the fix, and it was what we said. So 3 revisions. Let's see. What do we have? So this is for everyone. Let's have a quick look. So we have a text field tap region around it. And is that the only change? Oh, there you go. And then again on form field submitted after the on submit request focus. So what I might suggest you do here with the on submit on the widget is make this, it is a future or. You should await right here, Austin. Right here, await and make this async. And then what will happen is it will submit, wait for the dialog to finish, and then request focus on the return. This is not particularly that problematic because the focus is going to be requested only in this focus scope. But then, you don't get any follow-on actions. So requesting focus itself on widgets will cause things like scrolling to occur and other side effects, which won't occur in this scenario. So make this async, put an await in here, and in your on submit function, you'll this awaits for the dialog. So this is perfect. Yeah. So make this async, put an async in here and await on your on submit, and then that's perfect.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah. Great. I'm glad that helped.
That's a good note to end on.
You're most welcome, Austin. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for coming, and enjoy your day and your dinner and your whatever time of day it is. And you're welcome. And we're gonna end it here. Don't forget to like the video. I know it down there, like there's loads of you watching right now. Go press that thumbs up button. We need the engagement. The engagement really helps these videos. So what happens is YouTube will recommend these videos when we start them up to other people that are not subscribed, based on the fact that people are liking it and then subscribing from the video. So if you're not subscribed, first of all, if you get subscribed, you're going to get the notifications on your phones and devices when we do stream again. So that's great. You don't ever forget. And then B, you like, and that helps us promote the content and get more people here, more new people that like Flutter, that want to engage with us. So make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all that jazz, Anyway, right. Thanks again, everyone. And follow us on Patreon and all that jazz, and help out. Because all this software that we use costs money. So, it can all go to a good cause. And we'll see you again, same time, same bad place next week. Bye, everyone.
165 hours. Bye.
Bye.